Welcome to A Moment of Zen. Time to sit back and relax as model, actress, mentor, and supermom Zen Sams takes you on a sexy and wild ride, covering the latest in film, fashion, pop culture, cryptocurrency, fintech, cannabis, and entertainment from the millennial mom's perspective. Here's your host, Zen Sams.
Hello, my beautiful tri-state area. Welcome to our 114th episode, 2 years on the air and still going very strong. It's always such a pleasure to spend my time with you on the airwaves. Thank you for listening and interacting with me on social media. That truly does make it all worthwhile. Please make sure to follow me at Zen Sams. That's Zen with an X, not a Z. And also remember that we're live on Traverse TV Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern. And of course, all episodes of A Moment of Zen are now streaming 24/7 on Kathy Ireland's Your Home TV. You can always find us on our YouTube channel at Zen Sams. We have such a great show lined up for you today. Very exciting stuff. In our influencer segment brought to you by Navi Travel, we're featuring model and Instagram star Levi Conley. Levi is a fast-rising model currently signed to Next Models. He's been featured on covers, campaigns, and billboards. He's walked the runways from New York to Paris and Milan and graced so many covers. Today, he joins me to chat male modeling, making it in the Big Apple, and what the work looks like in the industry these days for male models, and of course, his influencer tips on making a splash on social media. In our disability awareness segment brought to you by OGPay.com, today we're featuring Brooke Eby, a courageous, determined, beautiful young woman diagnosed with terminal ALS back in March of 2022 after 4 years of very confusing symptoms in her leg. She now hopes to spread awareness of ALS to as many people as possible and laugh along the way. She's here to chat ALS, making a difference, and how you can get involved and help. In our entertainment and pop culture segment brought to you by Romulus Entertainment, today we're featuring mother-daughter duo Sophie and Vicky Fatu. Sophie is a young American singer, actress, and influencer, joined by Momager, influencer, and internationally renowned pianist. Today we're chatting child actors, career, balancing Hollywood, and the one amazing mama behind it all. In our Trailblazer segment brought to you by Caldwell Soames, today we're featuring the amazing Monica Morales, 6-time Emmy Award winner. You can catch her in her Monica Makes It Happen franchise weeknights at 5:55 p.m. on Pix 11 News. Today she's here chatting women in media, career, and how she balances her mom and work life. Stay tuned for the amazing Levi Conley in our influencer segment. Model and Instagram star currently signed to Next Models, coming on to chat career, life in the fast lane, and what it's like working in the Big Apple. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Nave, a members-only travel portal exclusively available through Organo, offering members steep discounts on nightly or weekly hotel stays, cruises, auto rentals, excursions, and so much more. With its travel getaway portal, Nave makes the days of surfing multiple travel sites and spending hours evaluating the best deals done with. That's because with Nave, you are guaranteed the best prices. Plus, to gain access to an even more expansive collection of condos, hotels, cruises, vacation villas, fantasy getaways, and concierge service, there's Forever Weeks. Simply purchase a Nave Forever Weeks package one time and enjoy the benefits many times. With Forever Weeks, forever means forever. Not only does Nave guarantee you the best prices, but it is also one of the few travel portals that pays a referral bonus, in addition to you earning rewards points, which can be redeemed on the Travel Getaway portal for further discounted hotel room rates. Become a member today and navigate the world of travel. Nave, the world for you to experience. For more information, go to nave.travel. That's Nave, Nave.travel.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up in just a moment, joining me in our influencer segment brought to you by Navi Travel is male model and Instagram star Levi Conley. Levi is fast rising, currently signed to Next Models. He's been featured on covers, campaigns, and billboards, walked the runways from New York to Paris and Milan, and graced many covers. Today, he joins me to chat modeling, making it in the Big Apple, what work looks like in the modeling industry these days, and his influencer tips on making a splash on social media. Now, the male modeling industry in New York City is a vibrant and competitive field, catering to high fashion, commercial, and niche markets. New York City is one of the major fashion capitals of the world, alongside cities like Paris, Milan, and London. Now, as such, it attracts a diverse range of male models from around the globe. Models can work in various sectors of the industry, including high fashion, runway, editorial, commercial, fitness, and lifestyle modeling. High fashion and editorial work often involves runway shows, fashion campaigns, and magazine shoots, while commercial modeling involves advertisement for products, brands, and lifestyle images. Fitness modeling, of course, focuses on showcasing a fit physique for activewear, sports brands, and fitness campaigns. Welcoming now to the show is the amazing Levi Conley, here to break it all down for us. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Hey, thank you so much, Zen.
Thank you for coming on. Okay, excited to chat with you. So, talk to me. You are a model signed to Next. How old were you when you got started, and how did you get discovered?
Okay, so I am 23 years old now, but I started whenever I was 18, 2017, and I was still living in Maryland. I got asked to come to Miami. It was a big switch for me, of course, coming to such a big city whenever I grew up in a small town, but that's how I got my foothold in the industry. And yeah, it took years for me to get off of my feet, I would say. It's competitive. A lot of models are scrambling for survival in LA, New York, Miami. So you just have to stick with it, and you know,
Stick to your
that's how I
passion, and that's what you did. So, got discovered at 18, signed at 23. You're successful now. You obviously work very hard at your looks and your body, and at your consistency and making sure that you look the part. Do you feel the modeling industry has changed since the pandemic, and is it easier or harder to be booked leveraging your social media?
Social media has definitely evolved since even the pandemic, since I started. We saw that breaking waves, I guess, whenever I began, but even more so today. When you walk into a casting, they have your social media handle. You're supposed to write it out. They do judge you based on that already. So that's definitely changed. COVID, the pandemic, it changed things. More things are online now. When it comes to acting and auditions or even castings, you could submit things virtually, just the same as working from home. So, leveraging social media, it's a pretty it has a lot of potential for that. They see your social media and brands want to work with you more. People would like to work with you more. So.
Without a doubt, social media is a game changer. Now, how do you typically meet your clients these days, and what do your casting sessions look like?
Okay, so casting sessions can be online. I travel quite often, so I'm not as often going into a studio for casting. And yeah, so mostly through email.
Interesting. So they're doing everything virtually these days. Now, has the modeling industry in your particular case, let's chat networking. So networking, as we know, right, it's essential for models attending open calls, industry events,
Yeah.
and of course building relationships with photographers and stylists and designers. All of this helps. Now, how many nights are you out networking per se, and what else are you focusing on career-wise, or is it just modeling?
Okay, so it's interesting that you say that because sometimes I feel like I haven't done that enough in, like, let's say, recent times. I've been more active traveling around the world. I have a girlfriend and we've went around many different beautiful locations together. Uh, it's very true that you should be, networking. It's not always based on, who worked the most, who looks the best. It's sometimes just about who likes you and who you connect with, like who you're friends with. Yes, that can sound tricky, but I guess it's a glamorous business. So a lot of these events have a high impact on you. And if you show up to them, you can make an impact. That's why I'm actually headed to Cannes Film Festival in just a few days. I think that should be an impactful event.
You absolutely pinned the tail on the donkey, Levi. That's exactly what you need to be doing. You need to be out there socializing, networking with as many professionals as you can in your industry. Photographers can recommend you to big brands. If big brands take notice of you at an event, at a red carpet event, especially like the Cannes Film
Yeah.
Festival, you are absolutely correct. You need to be seen. Now, obviously, networking is a big, big, big part of this equation. You need to be out, you need to be smart, you need to have a good head on your shoulders, whether you're a man or a woman in this industry. Everybody wants a piece of you, literally. Now, have you ever modeled? I mean, you have modeled, of course, for major brands and walked numerous runways. You've shot tons of campaigns, been on over a dozen magazine covers, if that, if not more, right? At this point,
Yeah.
there's a lot of pressure to look amazing 100% of the time. What does your fitness and diet routine look like?
Okay. I've recently been back into the gym heavily since January. I guess from about May until, January, I was traveling and wasn't able to keep up with the gym as much. I'm still getting used to fitness centers inside of these small hotels. It's not as big as a service gym. And, it's funny because as a model, sometimes you lose weight, you gain weight. I learned that what works best for me is actually having a muscular physique because, whenever I very first started, I had slimmed down quite a lot. And that's something that you need to figure out by yourself. Some people, I guess, will do better in this industry skinnier. Some will do better with muscle. I think I'm more all American. And yeah, that definitely makes an impact.
Well, you're definitely all American and you definitely look good. So keep doing what you're doing. Are there any specific goals or milestones that you hope to achieve in your modeling career?
Definitely. I mean, so going back to meeting people, I met Dean and Dan from D Squared in a Miami rooftop party on New Year's one time. This is an event where you can definitely meet people. It's an instance where I met someone, and working for big brands like that would be wonderful. I really appreciate like Versace, Louis Vuitton. That would be cool. But I see myself as a Calvin Klein model as well.
Oh, I see you as a Calvin Klein model too. You definitely have the body for that, the physique. If you looked at the historical Calvin Klein campaigns in the past, over the last 2 decades, you fit that mold perfectly. In fact, you remind me of one of the models in the Aqua di Gio campaign. You have a striking resemblance to him, and he was quite the successful model about a decade ago. Now, have you ever been in an awkward casting session where you felt
Mm.
sexualized and uncomfortable? I know as women in the modeling industry, I was signed to Elite from 17 to 22 years old under Monique Pilard, and I encountered a whole bunch of Me Too movement situations. How about you?
Yeah, definitely. I think that one of the best things that you can offer an 18-year-old is guidance, and you never know who you're going to be signed with. If you come from a small town and you enter into a big city, there are genuinely people that want to take advantage of that. There are people that think you look good, just like everyone else, but instead of just trying to be a good friend, sometimes they want something else from you. And men, it doesn't get spoken enough about. Because a lot of the Me Too movement was focused around women, but I guess, men, it's a weird situation. Men are looked to protect themselves. It's a different dynamic, and I definitely have had my own fair share with agents, photographers, um, you know, the I guess owner or ambassador of brands. That stuff has happened definitely.
Yeah. Oh, that could be tough. It could be tough. I've been in your situation and it's not easy. You have to remain professional. Sometimes you have to swallow your pride. Sometimes you have to look the other way, but you should never, ever, ever be in a situation where you feel uncomfortable and you should always stand your ground. So I always put that out there. Now, what has been your most memorable or per se exciting modeling experience so far?
Okay, so I thought it was really beautiful every time that I walked for the Make-A-Wish ball in Miami. It's in the Intercontinental Hotel, and I've met some A-class celebrities. Like one time, Snoop Dogg was the DJ. You had uh, Michael Bay, this Transformers director. He's in the crowd. You had there's been a lot of good things at that specific event. It was cool every year to go to that.
I love that you are so, your answer was philanthropic. It was not a Versace or Chanel fashion show. It was
Yeah.
a Make-A-Wish. That's
One
beautiful.
time I was in the Versace mansion as well, painted completely white, looking
Oh,
like
wow.
like a statue, like a Caesar, or the statue of David. It was funny. I had like the olive crown on my head, and
It's interesting. I got body painted. I was a barcode in a magazine called Gear Magazine, owned by a guy by the name of Bob Guccione Jr. And Gear Magazine was really popular, like in the 2000s, like the early 2000s. And I was standing there naked in a studio, freezing cold. Of course, the body painter was a female, and they had put, like the nudie, the stapies around, your private parts. But I was being body painted, freezing. I don't know what the experience was like for you, but woo, that stuff is
oh,
cold.
definitely. I mean, that's one of the other things that sucks being a model. When you show up at a shoot at 7 a.m. and it hasn't gotten warm yet, and they're asking you to jump in the pool, and you're freezing and you have to hold the pose, and they don't like when your face starts making like a crinkle. You can't have weird expressions. You have to
Yeah.
be a pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be in pleasure no matter what. Keep your face smiley and do what you're supposed to do. Modeling is such a tough job. Now, listen, how do you prepare yourself mentally before a photo shoot or a runway show? I mean, it's a lot of pressure. Runway shows, there could be hundreds
Mm,
of people in the crowd. Photo shoots, you could be shooting with
yeah.
major brands and major photographers. In fact, you should be shooting with Antoine Verglas. Why aren't you shooting with him?
I have shot with Antoine
Uh,
Verglas actually. Yeah, twice. I've shot with him twice. He's a very interesting guy. He's French, yeah, so he has a beautiful place in New York City.
Yeah, he's a very good friend of ours.
Oh
Verg
wow.
Antoine Verglas and I are, if we go back 15 years maybe, I know him 20. In my modeling days, he shot me too, so I had visions of him shooting you, but I guess you beat me to it. Now now, how do you, so the preparation, how do you prepare?
Okay, so yeah, you were asking me that, and I feel as if I've really improved over the years, to be honest. Like, whenever you're 18, you don't have your confidence yet. I wasn't even confident being in a big city all by myself, but it took time. I developed into my personality, and I'm still growing. But walking on a runway now, like for example, if you look back at the Make a Wish ball at the recording, you can see my what I brought to the stage during that moment versus like let's say when I first ran that runway, and I guess just feeling good, knowing myself better, and you bring that to your shoot, and sometimes I guess it's just experience, and that makes a big difference.
It does make a big difference. Okay, very quickly, what are the biggest misconceptions or stereotypes about male models that you wanna demystify?
Well, I guess that's a pretty tough question, because everyone has their own point of view, and I've heard a lot of different things. I guess my advice is just don't view anything in life as a stereotype, because that's how you generalize things. It's not very good to generalize things. There's always attention to the details, and everyone's different no matter what they do, or uh, whether they're a model or not. But I do think there are stereotypes that I would prefer if people would look past them.
Like what?
Oh, I mean, uh, the silly ones such as all models are stupid, or shut up, and don't use your brain, just use your looks, or other things like when it comes to male modeling, people can assume that you might not be straight. I don't know why that it really exists, but
Right.
I've encountered that before. Also, I guess some models are looked at as opportunists. The women, for example, they're like some people say the woman tries if she has something, she took advantage of some man to get it. These are stereotypes as well, that could happen. And I think all of them are pretty dehumanizing, or like you should get to know someone better at a personal level before you were to assume just because they have like a career in such a field that this makes them one of those other kind of people.
Well said. Well, my darling, you are definitely none of those stereotypes. You are smart, you are driven, you are determined, you are clearly a very humble soul, and you seem like you are very grounded. So, thank you for coming on and sharing your insight. It was a pleasure chatting with you, Levi.
Thank you, Zen.
Absolutely. Guys, you definitely have to check out the awesome Levi Conley all over the gram at Levi Conley. Now, remember, modeling is not just about striking a pose or wearing the latest fashion trends. It's about expressing confidence, embracing your unique style, and capturing the essence of the moment. Embrace diversity, Challenge norms and celebrate individuality. Remember that true beauty lies in the ability to be yourself authentically and unapologetically. Whether you aspire to grace magazine covers, walk the catwalks of major fashion capitals, or simply make your mark in the modeling industry, always remember to stay true to your values and maintain a strong sense of self. The journey may not always be easy, but with passion, perseverance, and a dash of charisma, the possibilities are truly endless. That was our influencer segment brought to you by Navi Travel. That was male model and Instagram star Levi Conley, signed to Next Models. Head to the gram and check him out at Levi Conley. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OGPay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OGPay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out OGPay.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Coming up in our disability awareness segment brought to you by OGPay.com, today we're featuring the awesome Brooke Eby, a courageous, determined, beautiful young woman diagnosed with ALS back in March of 2022 after 4 long years of confusing symptoms in her leg. Now, she hopes to spread awareness of ALS to as many people as possible and laugh along the way. Although the mean survival time with ALS is 2 to 5 years, some people do live 5 years, 10 years, or even longer. Symptoms can begin in the muscle that controls speech and swallowing, or in the hands, arms, legs, or feet. ALS, or otherwise known as amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, is a progressive neurodegenerative disease that affects nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord. For about 90% of all cases, there's no known family history of the disease or presence of a genetic mutation linked to ALS. For only 5 to 10% of all cases, in fact, there's a known family history of the disease, and that's pretty low. This is often called familial ALS. In families with familial ALS, there's a 50% chance each offspring will inherit the gene mutation and may develop the disease. Here to chat ALS, making a difference, and how you can get involved and help is the amazing Brooke Eby. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I can't believe you pronounced amyotrophic lateral sclerosis so perfectly. That is such a mouthful.
It's a mouthful, definitely, especially for somebody that doesn't say it every single day, unlike yourself, who deals with this. But you are, number one, you are so graceful, and your attitude and your mindset is just amazing. And I want to understand this from the beginning. So talk to me about finally receiving your ALS diagnosis after many years and what your current prognosis looks like.
Yeah, so I started having symptoms back in 2018. I had this mystery limp that I couldn't figure out. I went to a few different doctors. They couldn't figure it out either. It basically kicked off a 4-year diagnosis process. And ALS is a rule-out diagnosis, so they're kind of checking off every other option before landing on ALS. I was finally diagnosed in March of 2022. That was a very rough time. I had, 2 to 3 months where I was basically just in bed housing M&Ms. I think I probably ate 50,000 M&Ms at the time. Just taking out my fear in chocolate. But since then, after those first couple months, a switch sort of flipped, and now I've really focused on advocating for ALS. In terms of prognosis, they tell you 2 to 5 years when you're diagnosed. That's kind of the average that they tell you. For me, my doctor luckily told me, look, you've been a slow progressor so far. You've had symptoms longer than most prior to being diagnosed. So I don't want to give you a time frame. We're going to expect that you'll continue progressing slowly. So I think that was such a blessing. I don't know how I would do if someone gave me an actual time frame, unless it was like a year or under. I don't know that it's helpful to know.
It's so not. And
Yeah.
at this point right now, Studies to develop more treatments and a cure for ALS, many funded by the ALS Association, are ongoing around the world, and scientists have made real significant progress in understanding how the disease works, identifying biological indicators that can help diagnose and treat. So there's a lot of hope there, and I agree with your doctor. Why put a time frame on something so precious like life that's also very unique to individuals? You don't do that to somebody, and I think that he has a great approach in the way he delivered the information to you. Now, what are your feelings about the future, and from where do you really draw your strength and motivation at this point? You're, like I said, very much full of life, smiling, and seem to be coping better than most in your situation. How important is mindset in this situation?
I I honestly think all of us are more resilient than we think. When I was diagnosed, of course the first couple months are rough. After that, I sort of just said, okay, I'm not going to accept the diagnosis, because I think that's sort of a misconception that you have to accept something, so tragic. But I have learned to manage it really well. For me, I don't think about the future. The future no longer exists for me. So I really think a week in advance most. I never think what I'm going to look like 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. And that's not even, it doesn't even feel like an active choice. It honestly feels like my brain is stopping me from doing that. So I think we all have very defensive brains. Mine is just really being put to use at the moment.
You are amazing. I mean, you're making my eyes well up. Now, there's a quote, as Charles Lindbergh said, success is not measured by what a man accomplishes, but by the opposition he has encountered and the courage with which he has maintained the struggles against overwhelming odds. And that's what you're doing. So incredible. Now, what kind of support do you think you might need, in the coming months, and maybe not think that many years ahead, but just, what are your current physical limitations?
Yes. So my symptoms started in one of my feet. It sort of traveled up my leg. And that's when I started thinking, okay, this is progressing. It's not just, something wrong with my foot. And then beginning of last year, it really started traveling to my second leg too, which is officially when I was able to get a diagnosis, because it was affecting multiple limbs. So for me, my symptoms are primarily in my legs. My upper body isn't super affected. I get some twitching and cramping, which is part of it. But my voice, my swallowing is all exactly the same as it was prior to diagnosis. So I'm what we call limb onset. I feel really lucky that it's moved slowly. But in terms of, equipment that I use, I'm pretty much in a wheelchair full time. I was using a cane beginning of last year. I transitioned to a rollator, and within months was in a wheelchair full time. So ALS has affected my legs very quickly. It's just spared the rest of my body so far, knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now let's chat available treatments and therapies for ALS. I mean, what does the research look like, and what can people do to help?
Today there's no cure. I should start by saying that. There is nothing that's going to stop or reverse symptoms, which is devastating for a disease that moves so quickly. There are 3 medications available. All are intended to slow progression for a matter of months. So with ALS, you're always getting worse. I picture myself just on a constant decline. This is supposed to slow the decline and just kind of level you out a little bit. So that's really all we have. I mean, there's tons of research being done, tons of trials being done, but it's definitely an underfunded disease and a very complicated one.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, sure, there are a wealth of new scientific understandings about ALS, and there are currently, like you said, 3. But I think I read there's about 7 drugs approved by the FDA to help, at least slow symptoms down or kind of treat the more critical ones. There was Qualcity, there was
Yes.
Relivrio, there was Radicava, Rilutech,
Oh my
Diglutit,
gosh, you know all of these.
Exservin, and Nudexta, and those are the ones right now on the market. We trend in edutainment, so I have to actually put this out there, because
Yeah.
people are listening, and this is, like you said, a very underfunded disease. There's not a lot of clinical trials. And my next question was going to be, have you considered participating in clinical trials for ALS treatments, or are you just thinking, hey, listen, que sera, sera?
Yeah, I should mention those 3 medications are what was available to me. So some of the other ones are strictly for certain genetic forms that
Yeah.
don't apply to me.
Exactly.
In terms of trials, I would love to be a part of one. Unfortunately, you can typically only join trials within 2 years of symptoms. From the first symptom I had to diagnosis was 4 years. So I had already aged out of the option to do trials. And the reason for that is they anticipate patients dying. And in order to collect the data, they need to make sure that a patient lives throughout the trial. So because I'm past that 2 year mark, I mean, I'm at the 5 year mark. And because of that, I'm not really able to participate. Now, there are organizations that have really pushed the Right to Try Act, where you can get expanded access on trials. So I'm kind of looking out for ones that I qualify for, but it's not very plentiful once you're past 2 years.
Oh, well, listen, we are going to be extremely hopeful, and I will say to you that I will be speaking to you in 5 years from now because you are very different and very unique, and I truly believe you're here to pave the way. Now, what are your priorities for your remaining time?
Yeah, it's hard to map that out because I don't even really like to think of it as a finite amount of time. I'm always hopeful that some miracle will happen and I'll live, 50 years the way
It
Stephen
will.
Hawking did. Yeah, I am hopeful. Maybe a little delusional, but it helps me. I think denial has helped me quite a bit. I think my goals right now, I'm still working full time. So during the day, I consider myself, a corporate professional. I work for Salesforce,
Ah,
but by night, I'm really focused on ALS awareness and advocacy. So as soon as I sign off work for the day, I pretty much pull up my phone. I'm making TikToks, I'm making videos for Instagram to really bring ALS to everyone's doorstep and make people familiar with it and comfortable asking questions with it. I think with terminal diseases, people are so scared to say the wrong thing. And
yeah.
so they don't talk about it at all. And I'm like, I'd rather you ask me all the wrong questions, but still be having the conversation, because I think these conversations can drive pressure, and hopefully pressure makes a change for the ALS community.
Without a doubt, and look, you managed to get on iHeart Radio on a tri-state area national, show where people could hear you, and your message is being heard. Because I did find you on Instagram, and you did,
know.
sign off your day job to do this and create awareness, and you have created awareness. You're doing amazing. Now, how do you manage your symptoms and maintain your independence? Obviously, you're wheelchair bound, but you're still very, very, very much capable of, having normalcy within your life.
The wheelchair changed my life. I like the concept of being wheelchair bound. To me is like, I think a lot of people have a negative connotation about it. It gave me so much freedom. Like, it liberated me. Before using the wheelchair, was really hesitant to go places. I hated walking my dog. Everything felt hard. So the wheelchair to me was the best day ever when I got it. I was just speeding around, running my dog around. I think there's a ton of adaptations now. I mean, luckily I was diagnosed with this in 2022 and not, 1970, the way some
Right.
people were, because we have organizations that have loan closets and they can give you equipment. So I have a wheelchair, I have a shower chair, I have modifications in my apartment to make life easier for me. But I should also mention support is huge. I'm in 2 support groups. I have a very supportive family, supportive group of friends, supportive next door neighbors who I can call and say, hey, I need to load my wheelchair into my car. Can you help me? And so I've really seen the kindness of strangers tenfold. I mean, having to ask for help, so many people are willing to help.
You are just a bright light. Now, I was going to say, signing off here, we have about a minute left. What advice do you have for someone receiving an ALS diagnosis? Because, I mean, it's a hard diagnosis to receive.
Yes, I actually just did a video about this because I wished I had had something I could watch that wouldn't make it as intimidating. But I think the first few months, I mean, I was probably quick to flip the switch, to go from like depression and just anxiety and fear into let's tackle this head on. For me, that took about 2 to 3 months. I think for anyone, that period's going to happen. You almost have to grieve what you thought your life was going to be. I thought I was going to have a family and kids and, really take off my career, and everything changed. And I basically had to say, you know what, I have a different purpose now, and this is the path that was meant for me. So that's how I got over that hump. I think beyond that, finding community, finding support groups, there are questions that you're going to have in the first couple months that are strictly fear-based, like what's going to happen to me in a month, or, where do I get a wheelchair? How can I, find the right resources? And for me, the support groups were the places to go. There are tons of ALS resources. If you Google, just like ALS resources in my area, there's tons. But for me, the support group and finding community really made things easier for me.
Girl, you have me almost in tears. Oh, not because I'm feeling sorry for you at all. Quite the opposite. I'm actually drawing so much strength from what you're saying and realizing that, it's the little things that we're sweating in life are just, it's not even worth it. When you're faced with what you're faced with and the amazing mindset and attitude that you have, I mean, you're just incredible. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my God, you're amazing. Guys, listen, the tests we face in life's journey are not to reveal our weaknesses, but to help us discover our inner strengths. We can only know how strong we are when we strive and thrive beyond the challenges we face. All the energy in the universe is evenly present in all places at the same time. We don't get angry, right? We release energy. And the triggering mechanism to release energy is desire. When you have a strong desire to do something, you're always going to have the energy to do it. Just like Brooke. That was her disability awareness segment brought to you by OGPay.com. Do check her out on the gram. Brooke Eby at Limp Bruise Kit, LIMPBROOZKIT. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OGPay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OGPay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out OGPay.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up in just a moment, joining me in our entertainment and pop culture segment brought to you by Romulus Entertainment. Today, we're featuring mother-daughter duo, Victoria and Sophie Fatu. Now, Sophie is a young American singer, actress, and influencer. She started singing at a very young age and quickly gained popularity for her incredible vocal talent, rising to fame after appearing on America's Got Talent back in 2018, where she wowed the judges with her rendition of Frank Sinatra's classics. She was just 5 years old at the time and became the youngest contestant to ever perform on the show. She has appeared in several movies since then, TV shows and commercials, including an amazing supporting role in Last Looks, where she starred alongside Mel Gibson and Charlie Hunnam. Her infectious little smile lights up every scene she graces, making her an instant favorite. Born to shine, this young prodigy has taken the entertainment industry by storm, proving that age is just a number when it comes to pursuing your dreams. Joining her today is her mom, Victoria Fatu, Momager, shall I say, an internationally recognized pianist. Her name was added to the Golden Book of Russian Federation by the president. She has appeared in solo recitals and performed with symphonies around the world in front of presidents, royal families, and even the Pope. Victoria has performed as a soloist at Carnegie Hall, Châtelet Theater in Paris, and many other iconic venues. Today, we're chatting child actors, career, balancing it all, and the one amazing mama behind everything. Welcoming now to the show is the incredible mother-daughter duo, Sophie and Vicky Fatu. Welcome to the show, my friends.
Hi, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much for being here. Hello, Sophie.
Hi, it's so nice to be here.
Oh, you are so, so sweet. What a precious little girl. Vicky, I'm going to start with you. Okay. So, overall, being, of course, a child actor in Hollywood can be exciting and rewarding, but it also requires a strong support system and a responsible approach to maintain a healthy and balanced life, both on and off the camera. What is your overall mantra when it comes to Sophie's career?
From day one, my number one goal was just listening to her and doing whatever she wants to do, honestly, because it was never okay. I want my child to be a musician. I want my child to be an actor. It came from her from day one, right? And as a mom who also have been a performer my entire life, I just wanted to make sure that I do my job, which is to keep her safe, to keep her happy, to keep her healthy, and just support her in all of her dreams, because she is for sure an extremely talented child, and it's something that we couldn't really help. As I said, it just happened, and my job was just to nurture her on her journey, because everything else, she got it.
Oh, well, you're doing a great job. And listen, it's a hard job because every year over 20,000 child actors audition for roles in Hollywood. 95% of them don't book a single job. So you are doing something incredibly right. Now, Sophie, how did you first become interested in acting?
So it was actually a long time ago, like half of my life since I'm 10. It happened at 5. Um, so we were at the hotel when I was the we were at a hotel when I was on the bed and I was wondering about in movies and stuff. There are some characters then that have actors that can sing amazingly. And I had a little view of myself being on the red carpet or something. And I could imagine myself in a cartoon or a live action movie. And I just felt like I really wanted to. So I went up to mommy, like, Mama, I kind of feel like I want to be an actor. And she said, Oh, really? Maybe I could sign you up. And that's kind of how. And it's kind of weird because I just was on the bed and randomly thinking of
We
that.
were at America's Got Talent when that happened,
Oh, yeah.
because she was at that time already performing a lot as a singer, and I think she says, I know there's a lot of singers who are good actors, like I want to do that. And I think that's how it happened. We were at the hotel room. That's correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
talk about manifestation. You
Yeah.
envisioned it, you saw yourself on the red carpet, you saw yourself doing it, and now you are. That is very powerful, my dear. Now, Vicky, as a momager, you play a crucial role in managing her career and balancing her personal life. How do you handle the dual responsibilities of being a mother and a manager? And what strategies do you employ to maintain a healthy work-life balance?
This is such a good question. Yeah, I manage her music career. She has a fantastic manager for her acting, and of course she is signed with the agency. Again, number one, like, priorities. It all comes with priorities. Like, every time I wake up, I make sure that she's a good person first. She is a good person. She is a straight A plus student,
Yeah.
actually. Yes. So I want to make sure that she has a full childhood, right? And at the same time, I want to keep her responsible for her choices. And when you make the choice to be a performer, an actor, she knows that there's certain things she needs to do. She needs to keep up with her practicing, building her craft, perfecting her craft. That means, vocal lessons. That means acting lessons. That means just being responsive and accepting of discipline, because there's discipline, a lot of discipline comes behind it. But as I said, number one, I want her to be a happy, healthy child that has all the spectrums of the healthy childhood involved, right? Going to school, having friends, having fun, and of course listening and being very careful about her comfort zone, because it's really easy to step out of the comfort zone for a child, get overwhelmed, and forget what it's all about, because
Oh, yeah, of course. And in an industry that's known for its glamour, high risk, high reward, and never without sacrifices, I mean, parents are critical in ensuring long-term success. So I'm glad that you are thinking like that.
Mm.
Sophie, can you tell us about your favorite role or character you've played so far?
Well, I've been in quite a few roles, and they were all great. But I have to say that my favorite was probably in The Last Look. So because it was just really an enchanting experience. So it was the character was really fun. I liked the script, and I made a lot of good friends along the way, like Charlie Hunnam and Mel Gibson. And the thing is that they were amazing and kind and friendly, and I love that I got to meet them.
Oh, you were definitely quite professional on that movie set. I remember you. You were cute as a button. You were prepared. You knew your lines. Your mom was there every step of the way. And I was quite proud that you were in that film. You did a fantastic job. Now, Vicky, can you share an example of a difficult decision you had to make as a momager and how you handled it?
Yeah, it's kind of like comes in a package. You always face very difficult decisions, right? Well, I think the biggest one was when she just first started singing, because it's happened pretty much overnight. She became viral, and as a musician, I always said, like, my kids will not be musicians. My kids will not be performers. It's too hard of a lifestyle, right? But then we were living in West Virginia at the time, and I had a very steady job. I was a college professor, department chair. We were comfortable. We were like, okay, I know what's gonna happen. And then, as I say, overnight, you wake up and your child is suddenly wanted by the entire world. Like, TV shows want her, and everybody wants her to perform. And she's four. She's 4 years old. So I guess the biggest thing that happened is I had to make that very quick decision of leaving my life behind, packing up and moving to Los Angeles, because that's what demand was. Because her agency, her manager said, like, if you do want this to happen for her and she really has what it takes, we don't see you commuting quite as much. So I had to pack up my 3 kids, quit my job, and move to Los Angeles. It's like jumping into complete darkness, right?
Wow,
And
that's some commitment, Mama. That's a big
yeah.
commitment.
And another one, sometimes we receive auditions roles that are could be really good potentially, but then I could see her not being comfortable with the role. I might not be comfortable, and this is the moment when we have to make that decision. It's like, what's better for her in the long run?
Yeah,
So
very true.
it's easy to be tempted. It's easy to be tempted by something that potentially can give her a big name, but is it good for her in the long run? So these are the moments where it's like walking on eggshells. Like, you don't really know if you're making the right decision. You have to go with your gut and with your heart on what's better for your child again.
Oh, the well said. Good job, Mama. You're doing a great job. Now, of course, you obviously foster this supportive environment, but you're managing the pressures and the demands of her career. And we touched upon this a little bit earlier. I mean, sometimes even child celebrities, their own parents, can forget to let their kids be kids. And we know some examples when actress Drew Barrymore was a child. Her mother took her to Studio 54, a
Yeah.
New York nightclub, instead of school. She became addicted to drugs as a child. She
Yes.
entered rehab for the first time at the age of 12. She relapsed at 13. At age 14, she survived, some pretty complicated medical issues.
Yeah.
And then she became emancipated from her mother. You seem to have an amazing, incredible relationship with all of your kids.
Yeah.
How important is it that you foster that nurturing environment where it's not just about Sophie, but the other children are also being tended to?
Oh my gosh, you have all the best questions. Yeah, that's what I was talking about from the very beginning of this interview. It's just like you set your priorities straight from day one. It's like you're a mother, you make sure that your children are healthy and happy. And it's not easy, because when one child is always in the spotlight, how do you tend to the other two, Because you always need to make sure that you emphasize their own talents, their own special qualities. And of course, like, it can be challenging when you are traveling with one of the kids all the time, right? So yeah, I'm trying as much as possible to kind of encourage and always appreciate the talents of my other children. My youngest one is actually he's autistic. So of course there's a lot of things to discover every day, because he is such a genius in many ways, but he's so challenging in all the other ways. So it's just, yeah, it's a constant battle for balance. It's constant battle of what's best for them. And of course, it's, yeah, as you said, it's never easy. It's
never
non-stop
easy.
learning process, like all the time.
For sure. Sophie, what's your favorite genre of film or television to work on? And how do you prepare for your auditions or casting calls?
Well, there are a lot of genres, and I don't know, but there is sometimes where it's kind of moody, and this is something I like to do. I love to cry on command because I'm actually pretty good at crying on command, and I have did it a few times for a few roles or when I was auditioning for something, and it's really fun for me.
It's so funny because every time she gets an audition when she has to like cry or like break down on the spot, her manager's like, you know, she's gonna get this one, right? Because that's her thing.
That's your thing.
She is so good, and take after take, she'll go from okay, I'm ready, and then just go to a full breakdown. I don't know how she does it, but it's kind of freaky. It's
Well,
amazing.
I mean, you are emotionally available, and that's what makes you a good actor. I'm going to cut to a commercial break. We'll be right back. Stand by. Don't move a muscle. Guys, you definitely have to check out Sophie and Vicky Fatu. They're all over the gram. Influencer, mommy-daughter duo, actors, musicians, pianists, the whole thing. They got the whole package. Check them out at vicky.fatu and at Sophie Fatu. That was our entertainment and pop culture segment brought to you by Romulus Entertainment. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV.
Hi, this is Kathy Ireland here on A Moment of Zen, brought to you by Your Home TV. We've developed an all-inclusive subscription-free network that you're going to love, whether it's financial freedom, fashion, beauty, health and wellness, wonderful weddings, travel and culture, cooking, entertainment, and short-form documentaries, programming for everyone. Classic films and new shows, including Kathy Ireland Presents American Dreams. We've developed this network just for you. Please check out yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Welcoming back to our entertainment and pop culture segment are Sophie and Vicky Fatu. Welcome back, my friends.
Hey, thank you.
Okay, let's continue with this amazing interview. So, Sophie, how do you handle nerves or stage fright when performing?
Well, I'll be honest. I don't get nervous.
Ooh,
It's crazy.
Yeah,
you don't.
maybe like a few of the excitement butterflies, but yeah, they're excitement.
Oh, well, that's because you are so sure of your craft and you're certain of your abilities, and that's what makes you so unique and so confident. What advice would you give to other children who want to pursue acting?
Mm, Well, I want to say that um, do your thing like if you want to, but if you want to act, then go for it, and don't ignore like haters and everything. But also, I want to remind you that being an actor is hard, and there are a lot of responsibilities. You have to memorize lines. You have to make sure that you have the emotions. You have to make sure that you don't get overheated, or like if the clothes is uncomfortable. Those are gonna be some stuff that you're gonna experience. Um, but you have to make sure you're mature, and you have to make sure that you're ready for it.
You are so full of advice, my dear. That is great pointers that you're giving us. Thank you so much for that insight. I'm going to keep all that into consideration, and I'm pretty sure people listening are taking your advice. Now, Vicky,
Mhm.
how often do you have to collaborate with agents and publicists and coaches to support all of Sophie's career goals? Is it a daily thing, a weekly thing? Is it once every couple of months? How does it work?
We kind of go in periods. Like there's sometimes it's a constant nonstop thing, and sometimes with this cool periods when it just like here and there. It just depends on how busy she is at the moment. Definitely, pandemic changed a lot. We went from like going nonstop to complete silence, and then we picked up again. And definitely her lessons, like things like coaching and things like that, once a week singing, occasional acting coaching, it's kind of a must. Like it's something that always goes depending of if he has projects or not. Because as I said, her craft has to be constantly refined and advanced. So this is something that we do all the time. And we always talk. Like this is interesting thing not many parents talk about or even do, but it's very important to kind of go back to talking with her, being each other's therapist, just understand how do you feel about this, like what do you want to do next, how do you feel about the future. It's just very important because people change their minds, and sometimes again it's very tempting to get carried away, and to say like, no, you have to do this, you have to do this, no, you started, you have to do this, because this is where it gets to the dangerous point when a child might not be interested anymore and not be comfortable anymore, but the parent is so in that they're like, no, 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 we're doing this, we have to do this. So it's just very important to slow down sometimes and have an actual honest talk with your child regardless of the age, actually.
Great advice. And listen, there are approximately 65,000 actors working in the United States. SAG-AFTRA members include over 160,000 actors, broadcast journalists, and other media professionals. We have about 55% of actors at female, while about 45% currently are male. So the statistics to start to make sure that the young actors coming into the generation of where Hollywood is currently at understand that this is a business, that it's not just fun and games, that it is just like everything else. To Sophie's point, you have to put in the work. You have to make sure that you're practicing your vocal skills. You have to make sure that you are on point with your body language and your movement. You have to make sure that you're aware of your environment, your blocking. You have to know all of this, and it takes a lot of skill, and if you don't practice, you're not going anywhere. So the fact that this is something that you live and breathe is very indicative of the success that she has had. Now, Sophie, how do you if there's one thing out there, is I'm going to say most children your age have had inspiration. They've had mentors. Obviously, you have a mom that is very talented, and you're growing up in an environment that's very artistic. Who are your role models and favorite actors or actresses outside of mommy?
Well, the thing is, like, for me, actually, I think that like myself is a good. I really think that I'm like a good role model, and I believe in myself. So,
I
yeah.
think you are too. I in fact would point you out to anybody looking to be getting into the industry, because you are a great role model, not only for your family and for your friends, but to other little boys and girls out there that want to live out their dream and be a performer. So that was a great answer, my love. Now, Vicky, at last closing thoughts here. What is it that, if you could give a piece of advice to parents out there, what would you want to say?
Believe in your dreams, assess your possibilities, be honest with yourself. Ask yourself a question: why do you want to do this? What's the real reason behind it? Are you living vicariously through your children? Are you truly see something? Are you willing to face the rejection? Are you willing to understand that life is not always what you want it to be? But also, are you willing to fully understand that sometimes people turn around an inch away from success? So are you willing to, if there is a clear talent in your child, if there is a clear possibility for something great, are you willing to get up and keep going? Like, are you, and also at the same time, are you willing to listen to your child every step of the way and understand that sometimes the sacrifices are not sacrificing something of your child for success, but are you willing to sacrifice some of the success for your well-being of your child? It's just kind of like advice is never stop asking questions. Never stop asking
Never
questions.
stop and learning and really kind of understanding the process of where you're at mentally along with your child. I totally get that.
Absolutely.
Now, what upcoming projects can we see you in, Sophie?
You're performing this Saturday, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
She's like, yeah, I forgot about that one.
I forgot.
I have a concert on June 3rd.
Yes, it's this Saturday. She has a
Yeah.
big there's gonna be a lot of, oh my gosh, big people and politicians gonna be there. It's gonna be downtown in Los Angeles, and she's gonna be performing 2 of the new songs. And
Yeah.
she's been so excited about it because she is now lately, she was all about jazz before, and now she's kind of moving towards more of a old country, which is kind of
Ooh.
But also some other genres. Like at this point, I'm kind of experiencing, but
Yes.
for yeah, I am moving a bit more to the country.
And she likes spiritual music a lot, like, and we're not, I mean, we're not deeply into religion, but suddenly again, there's something that just came out of her, and we're willing to experience and go with it because she's inspiring a lot of people, whether she knows it or not. It's amazing how we get messages like, Sophie, I needed to hear this today. It's so weird. When you're 10 years old and people tell you that online, it's like, you know what? I needed this today. And it's
you
just
guys
like,
are amazing.
that's the whole reason we're doing this.
Thank you so much for coming on. You guys are incredible. Sophie, thank you so much. Vicky, what an incredible family you have.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, if children are going to be acting in TV and movies, they need to be given the resources necessary to cope with the mental toll of the job. Having a third-party mental health professional on all sets to monitor working conditions and help entertainers sort through their emotions after demanding scenes is essential. I advocate for that. Additionally, I recommend that all guardians and reps of children entertainers be required to take a course on the industry and media literacy, also extremely important. This way, families can be educated on the risks of having a child in the public eye. Not everybody is as well-versed and as smart as Vicky Fatu. We have let too many young celebrities suffer for the sake of our entertainment. As more former child stars speak out on the harm inflicted by the industry, it's our responsibility to listen. We must create better and safer working environments for today's kids. Sophie is in the amazing hands of her loving mama, Vicky. And with the star power steadily rising, this young actor has already worked alongside some of the biggest names in the industry, leaving a lasting impression with her versatility and, of course, her undeniable cute little talent. That was our entertainment and pop culture segment brought to you by Romulus Entertainment. That was the incredible Vicky and Sophie Fatu. Check them out on the gram at vicky.fatu and at Sophie Fatu. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Neve, a members-only travel portal exclusively available through Organo, offering members steep discounts on nightly or weekly hotel stays, cruises, auto rentals, excursions, and so much more. With its travel getaway portal, Neve makes the days of surfing multiple travel sites and spending hours evaluating the best deals done with. That's because with Neve, you are guaranteed the best prices. Plus, to gain access to an even more expansive collection of condos, hotels, cruises, vacation villas, fantasy getaways, and concierge service, there's Forever Weeks. Simply purchase a Neve Forever Weeks package one time and enjoy the benefits many times. With Forever Weeks, forever means forever. Not only does Neve guarantee you the best prices, but it is also one of the few travel portals that pays a referral bonus, in addition to you earning rewards points, which can be redeemed on the Travel Getaway portal for further discounted hotel room rates. Become a member today and navigate the world of travel. Nave, the world for you to experience. For more information, go to nave.travel. That's nave, N-A-V-E.travel.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Joining me in our Trailblazer segment brought to you by Caldwell Soames, today we're featuring Monica Morales, a 6-time Emmy Award winner. You can catch her in her Monica Makes It Happen franchise weeknights at 5:55 p.m. on Pix 11 News. She fights for underserved families across the tri-state area, investigates stories that matter, and helps connect resources to communities in need. Today, we're chatting women in media, her incredible career, and how she balances her mom and work life. Whether they were the voices over the microphone, the brains behind the operations, or the skilled technicians building the television masts and installing the radio valves, women have always played a role in getting information to the masses. Yet, women in media are still vastly underrepresented as men continue to dominate newsrooms across America. Men account for 70% of quoted sources and 66% of experts in all news stories, while female voices are still taking a back seat. Only 40% of TV news sources were women, while radio had only 36% and newspapers barely 28%. Despite facing gender-based challenges and discrimination, women have persisted in their pursuit of truth and storytelling. The involvement of women in journalism has evolved over time. In the past, women's voices were often excluded or marginalized in the media industry. However, pioneering women journalists, both past and present, have fought for equal opportunities and representation in this male-dominated profession. And trailblazers like Monica are paving the way, going where there is no path, and leaving one great big trail. Welcoming now to the show is the incredible Monica Morales. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Thank you so much. I'm a fan of yours. I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing. I think what you do is so exciting because you're a connector just like I am. I try to connect resources to communities and connect people. And what you're doing is the exact same thing. And you're bringing phenomenal content to people that need it the most. And that's why I was so excited to hear from you and to be asked to be on the show.
I'm so excited to have you. It's such an honor. You are a trailblazer in your field. Tell us, Monica, about your journey in the field of journalism and how you became a reporter at Pix 11 News.
First of all, this is very uncomfortable for me. I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth because normally I'm on this side, I'm on your side asking, and I actually want you on my show at Pix 11. I think what you're doing is amazing. So it's very uncomfortable. I'm just going to say that right off the bat. And as women, I think it's okay for us to just say, okay, I'm uncomfortable here talking about myself. And I want you to know I'm wearing sequins, not just for you, but I'm doing a Latina luncheon here in Long Island, honoring some of the biggest and most powerful business leaders, community champions that happen to be Hispanic women. And I think a focus for me has always been people that look like my mom, because I think you attract what you are. And my mother was Bolivian, and for so many years, she was undervalued, underrespected, all the unders, right? And so I watched that happen. And I think, sometimes if it's hysterical, it's historical for me. And so I became this champion for women, specifically women who I felt were being undervalued, underrepresented, giving them a bigger voice and using television and social media to do that. And I think what I've seen and why I started was, first of all, my mom learned English watching television, and she worked 3 jobs just to get us to the home that we were in. And she worked so hard her whole life. And she didn't have a high school diploma. She didn't go to college, but she was the smartest woman that I ever met. She was street smart. And I always respected that about her, her work ethic and the fact that she never gave up. And so that keeps me going as well, because as you know, television and media can be very difficult, and you get a lot of no's. I've probably gotten hundreds of no's for every idea that I have presented. And sometimes it's just that moment of never giving up, believing in it, just like you probably have with the show, and knowing that this is the future of media, is talking to women like us who are making it happen. And we do have the power. I think a lot of times when I would present it, it's men and women, and we love our men too, because they support us every single day. But it is the women that are the head of the household and that make the key decisions.
Amen to that. Amen to that. And
buying power too, right?
Yeah,
buying power too. And so
sure.
They're always surprised when top 10 trending stories aren't the negative stories, but they're the solution-based stories, the action stories that we do to create not just change, but to connect people. And that's what I'm most excited about. The opportunity that we have today is that people watching, they say, this might be a good way to, like, maybe I'll meet that person. That's what I'm always trying to do, is I'm trying to make the connections
An
happen.
amazing connection. Yes. And
that's all I am. That's all it is
and
connecting.
I want to say a big congrats to you, because this year you received the Zonta Club of New York's Distinguished Women of the Year Award. And this is for advocacy, social justice, and empowering women at their centennial celebration, a group active in the United Nations advocating for gender equality and women's human rights worldwide. I wanted to point that out because that is quite the impressive award. Now, what is the biggest challenge you face as a female media personality, and how do you overcome it?
Telling the stories that I really want to tell. And I'm very fortunate. I've been in the business for several decades now. So I'm now at that point where I'm in the juice of what I'm supposed to do. Because now I don't have to fight as hard, but I'm still fighting. I'm still fighting to get certain stories on. And for me, the stories that make me excited are the ones that don't want to be told. Usually it's the women who don't want to be on TV or don't want their stories, or, those kind of things where they're not asking for any attention. I love shining a very big light on women who are making incredible contributions in their communities that you normally get no recognition whatsoever. And again, it goes back to my mother, who, again, did not get any help, did not get any respect. And I watched her life, and she had a really hard life. And I think talking about it now, I still get really emotional about it. And I think that's what carries me, and that's what moves me forward. And I know she's not alone. I know a lot of women watching, and I know a lot of probably men too, who feel that they're not being listened to or respected. Maybe it's because of where they're from or what their education background is. And I'm here to say it doesn't matter. It's our mindset, right? It's what we think we can do. And my mom, she knew she was better than what was being done and given to her. So she would push forward, and she saw me, and she's like, I'm going to have a daughter that maybe will push through too. So that's what keeps me going. And I always go back to her. I don't even know why. She's like my everything.
Clearly you love mom, and I love that you love mom, and you are a trailblazer.
I love that you're a mom. I love that I'm a mom, and that we're able to talk about that, because this morning I was putting on my sequins for this event, and I knew I had to talk to you, big show, millions of people watching. And I was like, oh, I'm wearing sequins, and look at me. And then there was this French fry on the floor. And that's the McDonald's French fry. Probably my kid dropped it, like, I don't know how long ago. And my life can be such a mess. And the thing is, we still keep going. We still keep doing our best and putting our best foot forward. And I think that I attract, and I love the stories of the doers, the people who are doing things and are in the tank fighting the fight every single day. Because it's really easy to judge people when you're not doing anything.
And here's what we will say. I'm going to shout out now, because throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, notable figures such as Nellie Bly, Ida B. Wells, and Dorothy Parker emerged as trailblazers, defying societal expectations and really using journalism as a tool of social change, just like you. And their courageous investigative reporting and fearless commentary on issues such as gender equality and civil rights and political corruption laid the foundation really for future generations of women journalists. So you're doing a great job. Now, you've been awarded a national Emmy for breaking news, 6 local Emmys, and an award, the Edward T. Murrow Award for investigative series and reporting. These are all very impressive. In fact, in 2020, you also won a continuing coverage Emmy for your Monica Makes It Happen series. And in 2022, we're nominated for a community service Emmy for your daily coverage of New York City's housing crisis, food insecurity, and healthcare inequalities. And of course, you have visited, as we know, over 200 housing developments and helped fix hundreds of homes and restore the heat and hot water to more than 100 buildings. My question, Monica, is why aren't you running for mayor?
I do get that question a lot, and I am so honored to even be thought of that way. But I think for me, I love the story. I always chase the story, and for me, that's why I want you on my show, because I want to ask you all these questions. I have so many questions for you, but I love getting stuff done, and I love the power that TV gives us and social media, because people who normally for years were struggling to get any sort of attention, we show up. And again, I have this, I'm like a SWAT team. I go in and I go out. I don't have a lot of time because I have that 4, 5, and 6, and 10 deadlines every day. And just that 2 minutes of television, 2 minutes of social media, and for you, it's your show. You get to do so much with just that. So why not do it, right? Why not use that?
100%.
And I've asked so many bosses in my past, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do? And we didn't call it the Monica Makes It Happen because, between you and me, it's the community that makes it happen. It's our viewers that make it happen. But I'm getting the credit just because, well, it's me presenting it, but it's not really me. It's the community. And what I love about it is that it is that light that goes off. It is that energy that's created when we present the story, and then all of a sudden people come out of the woodwork. They want to help. They want to create a prom for a Bed-Stuy high school. They want to give track shoes to a track team in Newark. They want to, it's like, that's power. And so whatever little power that I have as a reporter, as an investigative reporter, I want to use it because I feel like, why not? Like, what's a better way? And at first it was really simple, and you're going to probably connect with this, is if I'm going to leave my children every day and I'm going to miss those moments and leave them, I better do something that's really important that they're going to be proud of one day. And that's what I don't know. I was always thinking that in my head. Like, if my daughter Googles me one day, I want her to be like, wow, my mom really made a difference. She really did something. Because I know
so
my mom,
right.
I feel that way about my mom. So I'm like, I just want my daughter to feel the same way. And it's just that simple. It's just, I want to be the mom that my mom was for me. And I know if she was given the ability, she would have been a CEO. She would have been probably a mayor, and she would have made things happen, but she wasn't given the opportunity. So here we are sitting today on the shoulders of all these beautiful women. And I really believe that we're all connected in some wonderful way. And
of course we are. Of course we are. I'm going to cut to a commercial break. I'll be right back because I have so much more to ask you, especially how has social media, of course, impacted the way you gather news and interact with your audience. That's something I want to come back to, but we're going to cut to a commercial break. Guys, you have to check out Monica Morales. Amazing. She's on Pix 11 News, or you could head directly on the gram at Monica Morales TV. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV.
Hi, this is Kathy Ireland here on A Moment of Zen, brought to you by Your Home TV. We've developed an all-inclusive subscription-free network that you're going to love, whether it's financial freedom, fashion, beauty, health and wellness, wonderful weddings, travel and culture, cooking, entertainment, and short-form documentaries, programming for everyone. Classic films and new shows, including Kathy Ireland Presents American Dreams. We've developed this network just for you. Please check out yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio.
Welcome back, my beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Welcoming back to our Trailblazer segment brought to you by Caldwell Soames. We're chatting with the incredible Monica Morales. Welcome back, my friend.
Hi, good to be back.
Okay, so let's jump right in here. I tell people all the time, of course, social media is key in promoting your brand, your business, right? We live in the digital age, and female TV personalities have leveraged technology and, of course, social media platforms to reach wider audiences and foster engagement. We've used our reporting skills to shed light on important stories, to initiate conversations and build communities around issues that matter, just like you do every single day. And of course, our contributions in media are invaluable to our society, Monica. Our dedication to truth, to fairness, accuracy, all of those above have shaped public discourse and of course led to all of these transformative changes. And by continuing to champion gender equality in the media industry, we continue to pave the way for future generations, like you said, and inspiring aspiring journalists to follow their passion and make their voices heard. Tell me, Monica, how has social media impacted specifically the way that you gather news and interact with your audience?
It's everything. As you know, it's everything. The power of social media and television together, it brings together politics, the politicians, the people making it happen, the community leaders. We've seen magic happen once we present on Twitter, Facebook. I mean, as soon as we tweet something or we post it on TikTok, I just recently started TikTok, which I'm embarrassed to say to your audience because they're like, oh God, but I just did. And it's about reaching as many people as possible and also holding those in power accountable. And they completely change between you and me when they know you're live, right? I mean, I think I'm the same person on and off usually, and you are too. Actually, just knowing you and getting to know you these last few days. But some people are completely different publicly. So when you have that live button on, they'll say, "Oh, we're going to work on that, or we're going to get that done," and it moves things along much faster. I mean, people have waited years for change in their homes and their communities. We connect them with corporate. Nonprofits and city, state, and federal agencies to get things done. And I'm so excited about that. Like fixing homes, it's not just about that. It's about fixing communities and creating solutions together, because just with your show, you're bringing together, I mean, people that would normally probably never meet. And now I'm going to Google that person. I'm going to connect with that person. I'm going to go on LinkedIn. There's so many possibilities, when you have this platform and you have people listening, you have the audience.
Exactly. Now, how do you balance the responsibility of delivering news accurately and fairly, but also still engaging your viewers? Because, the mundane gets mundane. They want like the cool breaking stories, or the stories of vengeance or betrayal, or, how do you balance it?
I like those stories too sometimes, but I don't think it should be a majority of the coverage. And I think that's the old way of looking at news. If it bleeds, it leads. That was the old school way of looking at things. Being in people's living rooms of every neighborhood in New York City. Now I've had that ability to be in so many different neighborhoods over and over again. People trust me. They know that when I get there, they want to see me. They open the door because they know that I'm there to help. I think building that trust is number one, but it takes, years to do that. But I think it is that trust. First, building that trust, knowing that I'll be there. I'm not like, I am in the studio, but I spend most of my time out in the field in people's homes. And I think they understand that. So many of them have met me face to face, like I'm in the communities. And I think that also helps a lot, is that, oh, she's been in my community center. She sees what it really is. And so I think that's different than just being on TV. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm in the neighborhoods. I'm every day.
You are everywhere. That's why I said you should run for mayor at some point. Well, I would vote for you. Now,
I'd vote for you. What are you talking about?
It's true. Well, we'll both run together. Now, you are a married mom of two. You live in New York City with a very fast-paced career. How do you balance it all?
It's rough. Remember, I was texting you. I was actually in a cab because I had to buy this hat for the luncheon. I don't own a hat. I don't wear hats because it messes up your hair. But it's really hard. It's really hard. And I know that I'm hoping today I get to see my kids. I get to pick them up today. We'll see after this luncheon. But I haven't had a day off in a very long time. So it does wear on you. So the weekends are sacred for me. Like that's when I'm with my kids and my husband. And my husband does kind of get a backseat to everything sometimes because I'm so focused on my kids, my work, my kids, and social media. That's a full-time job too. I'm constantly posting. And that takes a lot of energy too. But I mean, I'm so grateful for this opportunity. I worked so hard for this, to sit in this position and to be here. I know you did too. And so when we actually get to do this, it's like, I almost want to like just take it in. I was on the Coast Guard boat. I don't know if you saw that story. I think you commented on it.
I did.
I was at the Coast Guard with the first African-American woman at the top of the Coast Guard. She's in charge of all the New York and New Jersey waters. And she literally closed off all of the Hudson River for us for the shoot. And I literally, in that moment, Zen, I was like, let me just take this in. Like, let me just take this moment in. I looked at the NYPD. I love the NYPD. I looked at, the Intrepid. And I was like, this is just the moment, like, who gets to do this? Like, I get to do this. Now, there are days where I'm like, oh, God, I don't want to do this. Like, it's really hard. There's some days where, you get a lot of pushback, and I can talk to you a little bit about that as well. It isn't always, wine and roses when you are challenging the powers that be. But what I've noticed is that if you tell the truth and you can back up the truth, usually that does set you free.
You are so right. I always say that, and when I had Alexa 2016. She's 7 years old now. My moral compass went from 0 to 60 overnight. And, being in the industry, being in media, being in entertainment, reporting, I always say I'm not reactive news, I'm proactive news. The stories, the stories I report are evergreen. You can pick anything from our channel and it'll matter even 5 years from now, because we don't necessarily react to what's happening in the headliners. We are proactive about it, in the sense that even if there's something negative happening, we're going to talk about where's the silver lining there, and how do you make it better, and how do you learn from it. If there's a deal breaking on Wall Street, if there's a cryptocurrency exchange collapsing like FTX, and you have tons of bad actors in the game, then my reporting is not going to be on how many years they're going to get in jail. My reporting is going to be on, well, how do we fix it and regulate it so that the industry doesn't encounter bad actors like this, and call in the experts to come onto the show so we can all collectively come up with the best form of education, so we could tackle the problem from a place of knowledge, because knowledge is power. So, it's extremely, extremely important to do the research, to cross all your T's and dot all your I's. Now, you know this more than anything else as a journalist. The role of local news is extremely important in society. How does Pix 11 News fulfill that role?
Well, what you just said was amen. Like, that is exactly right. I mean, we have to get it right, because it's again back to trust and resiliency. Like, we pick up the story and then we keep at it. We just keep at it. I keep going back, because so many times we get bored as the news media and we move on so quickly. We can't. We have to keep going. You have to keep on the story. And that's what I love about my Follow-Up Fridays. I do something called Follow-Up Friday, where we make sure on Fridays that I always go back to the story, so we see the completion of the work. And a lot of times agencies know that we're coming back, so they'll get it done, and they know the timeline. People told me I was crazy. You can't fix this, before 5 o'clock, or you can't fix this before Friday. Wouldn't you know it? Many of the stories get done quicker and faster when there is a deadline and there is a strategy to that. And is it crazy? It's a little bit, yeah. And is it unfair? Maybe sometimes. But for most of the stories that I do, when I do tell these big agencies, corporations, we need to have this done by 5 or by Friday, or give them a deadline, things usually work out just as we want them to. And that is the action for the viewer, what they need fixed. And it's just that simple. And sometimes I'm amazed by how quickly agencies that are usually notorious for taking forever to do things, because that is the truth. The red tape is just kind of cut right through. And that is the magic of social media, shows like yours, TV, and us coming together and focusing on it, because it's really about us putting the content out there, but it's also about the audience listening and
receiving it. Yes.
Yeah. And there's this new compassion too, I think, for communities, because we're starting to understand that sometimes we have to come up with our own solutions to things. If, let's say, big agencies are not doing it, we need to come up with our own solutions. And who's the most powerful people that you could possibly talk to are the moms, usually the women in the communities that we're talking about. And they're the ones on the front line. So empowering women is pretty much the easiest and the fastest solution to most of our problems.
You said it. Wow, you said it. Well, we are out of time. Thank you so much for coming on. What an incredible, incredible interview. You are amazing. Thank you for everything you do.
Well, you know what? I think the best thing that I got out of this was about your show. I'm going to watch it now regularly. I'm going to make sure to make an appointment. Now I can't say TV, appointment viewing. And I'm going to I would love to stay connected with you. And I want you on Pix 11. I want you to come on our show and talk about what you do, maybe on a regular basis too. Just let me know what you're up to. Okay.
Absolutely. You got it. You got a friend in me. You got a partner in me. We will do this together, and we can come up with a million different ways to continue reaching the community, but empowering women, educating women, financial literacy for women. I'm done seeing women have to follow or live in the shadow of a man and have to be completely dependent on them. This is time that we all really kind of, listen, I love love our men too. I've been married for 15 years. My husband is incredible, but there are women out there that don't have incredible men. And so for those women and for women, for girls throughout this entire world, it's extremely important for us to be able to stand independently on our own before we even engage in any kind of relationship or marriage, because that is the foundation of everything.
So true. And so many men have given me an opportunity in the media. I've had so many great male bosses who have helped tremendously to kind of just uplift. And of course, my husband as well. We've traded roles a little bit because he picks up the kids and he makes the lunches and he's completely fine. So behind every great woman, there is a man there
100%.
that's helping.
Without a doubt. We love our boys. Well, God, thank you so much, Monica. I'm definitely coming on your show.
I can talk to you forever. All right. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Guys, you definitely have to check out Monica Morales. Check her out on the gram at Monica Morales TV. And listen, in this ever-evolving media landscape, women journalists bring unique perspectives, challenge conventional narratives, and contribute to a more inclusive and equitable journalism industry. Our invaluable contributions have undoubtedly enriched the field, making it more diverse, representative, and of course, impactful. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV.
Hi, this is Kathy Ireland here on A Moment of Zen, brought to you by Your Home TV. We've developed an all-inclusive subscription-free network that you're going to love, whether it's financial freedom, fashion, beauty, health and wellness, wonderful weddings, travel and culture, cooking, entertainment, and short-form documentaries, programming for everyone. Classic films and new shows, including Kathy Ireland Presents American Dreams. We've developed this network just for you. Please check out yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio.
Well, that's a wrap, my dear friends. Remember to join me right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio, every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. Or you could head to 710WOR.iHeart.com/A Moment of Zen. Also remember that we're live on Traverse TV Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern, YouTube Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern. And of course, all episodes of A Moment of Zen are on Kathy Ireland's Your Home TV, currently streaming free programming. You could head directly to our channel at mox.yourhometv.com. Thank you for listening to us. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host. Thanks again to all of our sponsors. And remember that happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it.